What's going on, everybody? I'm Mark with GamingTrend here to review Disney Lorcana. Disney Lorcana is on everyone's mind right now. Even if Disney or CCGs don't interest you, you've probably heard of the game. So what's it all about? Is the game any good? Should you check it out? Maybe by the end of the review, I'll have answered that question for you. I'm going to attempt to cover everything from how to play to product availability. It's going to be a little bit of a longer ride, so watch the whole thing or jump ahead to the sections that interest you. First, I do need to mention that while I was not asked by Ravensburger to do this review, I did attend the Lorcana launch party at Gen Con, where I received some free products like a starter deck, a deck box, a few booster packs, and a playmat. So use that information how you will to judge this review. Now let's start with the basics. Disney Lorcana is a collectible card game designed by Ryan Miller and Steve Warner, being published by Ravensburger. A collectible card game is a style of game where players purchase and collect cards in order to make custom decks and compete against other players. You can test your luck with opening randomized booster packs, as well as purchase or trade for single cards that you need to complete your deck. You may be familiar with games like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, or even Magic the Gathering. These are all collectible card games. Chapter 1 of Disney Lorcana is out right now and features 204 unique cards. If that number of cards and building decks sounds overwhelming, don't worry, because Chapter 1 has 3 different starter decks available to get you straight into the game with no deck building required. A starter deck is pre-built, complete deck that comes with the game rules. It comes with a couple of damage counters tokens, a paper playmat, and even comes with a bonus booster pack so you can experience cracking a pack right away. If you and a friend each grab a starter deck, you're ready to jump straight into the game and start playing right away without worrying about how to build a deck and all the extra stuff that comes with the CCG. The rules for Disney Lorcana are pretty easy to absorb and fairly straightforward. The goal of the game is to be the first player to gain 20 lore. You primarily gain lore from questing with characters, but there are a few abilities that can grant lore as well. Questing is as simple as exhausting a card that has a lore value to gain that amount of lore. Exhausting a character comes with risk, though. An exhausted character can be challenged by an opponent's character and banished to your discard pile if their willpower is reduced to 0. Basically, they're vulnerable to attacks when they're exhausted. All cards in the game have an ink cost that needs to be paid in order to play that card. At the start of your turn, you can choose to ink a card, turning it into a resource for the rest of the game if it features the inkwell symbol. You will then exhaust your inked cards to pay for cards you want to play later. The game does a really excellent job at integrating characters into the mechanical design. One example that I really like is there's a version of Cinderella that's able to play songs easier than any other character because of her singing ability. Another is an Ariel after she's lost her voice and can't sing songs at all. Then we have a Grandma Tala from the movie Moana that gets turned into a resource after she's defeated to help you out the rest of the game, really mirroring what happens in the movie after she, spoiler, passes on and then supports Moana later on in the story. Speaking of Moana, there's also Te the extremely strong character that must challenge every single turn if possible because of all the built-up rage. But then you can also have Moana in your deck with the Heart of Te who can instantly defeat Te if she's played. So really cool synergies and character built into the mechanics, making it feel like the movies that we love are really coming to life on the tabletop. The list goes on and on. There's lots of really cool interactions like that, really cool cards. If you have a favorite card, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you like about the game. With a decently sized initial card pool, there are multiple strategies and deck archetypes that can be used, even with just the first chapter out. But the underlying strategy of the game revolves around deciding what cards you're going to sacrifice to your inkwell, when is it most advantageous to risk questing and exposing your characters versus challenging to maybe trade your characters for an enemy's character. All of those things really get into the mind game that is when and how you play the game. Deck building in Disney Lorcana is pretty simple, at least rules-wise, it's simple. Making a deck that is actually good is an entirely different story. To make a deck, you choose 1 or 2 of the 6 colors of ink in the game and choose at least 60 cards. You can have up to 4 copies of each card, and it's generally best to go ahead and include the maximum number of most cards that you're going to use so that you increase your chance of drawing the cards that you want and can focus your deck on a specific playstyle or goal. Those looking to get into Disney Lorcana as an investment may be pleased with the extreme scarcity of cards right now. If you're watching this in October of 2023, you basically can't buy these cards anywhere. But from a player's perspective, the scarcity is kind of a problem. If you can't get cards, you can't play the game. I was fortunate enough to be able to wait in line and buy a booster box at Gen Con this year because I have not seen the product on a single store that I've gone to in my local area. There are no local game stores within a close driving distance to me, so I've checked Walmart, Target, and Best Buy are the kind of big box stores that are supposed to be stocking Lorcana, and I have found the spaces on the shelves where the cards are supposed to be, and it's been empty every time that I've checked. So check your area, you might find success where I haven't, and there are restocks coming as well. So whether Ravensburger severely underestimated the popularity of the game, or the scarcity is driving marketing and buzz, I don't know, but as a new player or someone trying to get into the game, you may not be able to find product for quite some time. Hopefully that changes soon. In an attempt to build communities around local game stores and support small businesses, Ravensburger gave local game stores exclusive access to Lorcana during the month of August when it launched, and it appears to largely have backfired, in my opinion. The typical resale scalpers were out buying up all the product, immediately putting it on eBay for extremely overinflated prices, but unfortunately, I've seen reports of many game stores engaging in the price scalping as well, which is pretty disappointing. Limited product combined with greed is not a recipe for creating a welcoming game or community like Ravensburger has said they want to do, so I really hope that turns around in the future. As an alternative, some game stores have resorted to only selling products as part of official events or tournaments, which sounds great if you're a competitive player and like to play the game in that format, but only throws up another barrier for the casual player that wants to play at home or with their family or friends. So again, I think this is going to change pretty soon. Ravensburger knows how popular this game is and is doing everything they can to get more product out to people. So just hold on, don't give up on the game. The good news is that restocks are already on their way. Ravensburger has announced more products will be hitting local game stores this month in October, and there's a reprint of Chapter 1 in early 2024, so you can still get your hands on the Chapter 1 cards. They also just recently announced that Chapter 2 will be releasing in November. If interest in the game remains high, we can only hope the availability catches up to the demand. Those of you that just want to collect or invest in this game should note that so far there has been no announcement or indication that the reprints will have any second edition indicator or anything to show that it's different from the first edition, which can affect value of cards in the long term if that's something that you're into. But if you've managed to get some cards to play the game, is it good? Are you having fun? There are aspects of Disney Lorcana that are undeniably fun. I assume if you're watching this, you either enjoy the Disney characters or are just interested in a new card game. Maybe you're here just to comment about Magic being the only real CCG. That's fine too, thanks for being here. But in Lorcana, every time you draw a card and see a character, it brings such an instant moment of joy and a rush of memories as you relive and replay the experience of maybe watching that movie for the first time, or watching those movies with your kids, having this shared experience that everyone can have with Disney in a way that kind of transcends generations and cultures. Playing with your favorite characters, singing the songs that come up, it's not just fun, it's really just a shared bonding experience that you have to experience. And in a way that playing a generic wizard or casting a fireball just can't have the same effect. Speaking of singing songs, there are song cards in the game that are a huge part. One of the main card types in the game is song cards. These can be played like any other card, but can also be sung by a character you already have on the table if they meet the song's ink requirements. How that works is you either pay the ink cost to play the card right away, or a character that meets the ink threshold can sing that song for free. So you can get some of your favorite characters out that cost a higher amount of ink and are thematically singers in the movies. They can get these powerful song cards out for you for free, which can be game-changing. Remember the Cinderella that I mentioned earlier in the video? She acts like she costs more than she really does when singing so that she can belt out really powerful songs. Again, bringing in the theme into the mechanics of the game. Song cards can have pretty big impacts. Songs like Be Our Guest is really cheap to play. It only costs 2 ink, but allows you to draw another card. We're going to talk about card draw more later, as well as cycle less desirable cards to the bottom of your deck, which is always good. Mother Knows Best lets you return a card to the player's hand, your own or your opponent's, so you can use that in multiple ways. This can be huge when timed well to either delay an opponent's play or save one of your valuable cards that's vulnerable from being banished. Then we have more aggressive songs like Be Prepared that banish every character on the table, or Grab Your Sword that deals damage to every opposing character. So songs can be hugely impactful if you play them at the right moment. Using songs to your advantage and anticipating opponent's songs based on the type of deck that they have can be the difference between winning and losing a game in Lorcana. Not to mention, you just can't help but sing a few of the lines yourself when you play a card. The choices you make on which cards to ink, when to quest, and when to challenge give the player lots of space to feel in control of their strategy as the game unfolds on the table. Now, when you're just starting out with Lorcana, you may quickly notice something. In Lorcana, you only draw 1 card each turn. Right around turn 5, or even earlier if you're playing cheap cards and multiple cards a turn, you're going to get to a point where you're drawing 1 card and then playing the card you just drew. Yeah, you're still deciding when to quest, when to challenge, but the actual playing of cards can dry up pretty quickly. Currently, the only ink color in the game that really provides any meaningful card draw ability is purple. For the casual player like myself, this can initially seem like a problem. You're having fun and then all of a sudden I'm just drawing and playing a card and my decision space is kind of dried up. It kind of slows the game down and those fun interactions you were having seem to dry up. The good news, and also bad news, is that if you have that experience, you're probably like me and maybe just not that good at the game yet. Sure, you can build a purple deck that actually has a lot of card drawing abilities, but even without purple, competitive or experienced players really don't have this card drawing issue. And if you really get your mind into the game and get a handful of games under your belt, you'll start to see the ways that this can be mitigated and the ways to just play around this restriction. At higher levels of play, there's much less spamming of every possible card that can be played because experienced players are aware of the threat of those song cards that we talked about, or the threat of specific powerful cards that you can anticipate will be in the deck based on the type of cards you're seeing played. Building up a huge roster of characters because you're playing every card that you possibly could might seem really strong when you're first starting, but when they can all be wiped out with a single Be Prepared card, you'll start to realize the nuances of some of the strategy. Maybe I should hold this card back, maybe I should build up a couple of cards so that I can play them all at once and accomplish a big, powerful swinging turn, rather than laying everything out as soon as it comes so that I have no surprises for my opponent. So these are the kind of strategies that emerge as you get more into the game and really start thinking about it beyond looking at the great artwork and singing the fun songs. There's really a real crunchy game underneath the Disney surface. Disney Lorcana, in my opinion, is much deeper than some people are giving it credit for. You can definitely play this game casually with your family or friends, not worrying about the serious card play, and have a great time. But for those that want to dig deeper and get into those really strategical situations, and when should I play this, when should I hold it, what do I think my opponent's going to play, Lorcana has that. Once you get past the cartoony artwork and the childhood movies and memories, the card play is actually really engaging. Holding cards for coordinated plays later, setting up those powerful songs, knowing when to sacrifice characters to banish an opponent, anticipating your opponent, what they're doing, what they're setting up based on the cards they're playing. These are all pretty serious CCG techniques that you see in other games that Lorcana brings to the table as well. So if you get anything from this video, even if you don't value my opinion because I've received products from Ravensburger, just know that Disney Lorcana is a serious game. It's not just Disney flavor. There's a real game here that is really fun. Let's talk about the different products that Disney Lorcana has to offer. It's 2023 and gamers have come to expect premium products for the cost they are willing to pay. The card quality in Lorcana is on par with every other major CCG on the market. Where Lorcana clearly stands out is the Disney IP and the stunning original artwork. Artists like Nicholas Cole and many others have done an amazing job bringing all of your favorite characters to life. Disney and Ravensburger have commissioned entirely new original artwork for this game, which is amazing considering the vast amount of existing Disney artwork that they could have reused. If you want to see a list of all the artists involved in the game with the links to their work, click the link in the description and we'll link to where you can check all that out, get all the artist credit. In addition to booster packs, which include 12 cards, there is an entire range of supporting products. Starter decks, as mentioned earlier, are pre-made decks that get you straight into the game, include the rules and some damage tokens, as well as a bonus Chapter 1 booster pack. And as we go forward in chapters, the starter decks are going to continue, and the starter decks for each chapter will have a booster for the associated chapter. The starter decks are a great value in my opinion. While the deck isn't super optimized or competitive, it's fun to play straight out of the box, and in my opinion is the best way to get started. Next we have the gift set. It includes 4 booster packs, the same game tokens, 2 foil cards, and 2 collectible oversized cards. If you're a collector and really want those oversized cards for your collection, then you probably want to pick one of these up. But overall, I think you're better off getting boosters themselves at a cheaper price, or even buying singles to build your deck over the gift set. But it does make a great gift. The Illumineers Trove is not a good value, in my opinion. Do not buy this. The good news is that it comes with 8 booster packs and is the same MSRP as 8 booster packs. So from that perspective, it's not bad value. However, the included deck boxes are flimsy folding paper boxes that will not hold sleeved cards. The collector's box is pretty small, and if you are serious at all about getting into the game, it will quickly not be able to hold your collection of cards. On top of the very thin cardboard not doing enough to collect your cards that, or your collection that's going to be worth a significant amount of money that you've invested. I think Ravensburger needs to do better if they're going to continue to offer the Trove as an option. Especially with the reseller market right now, I would not spend any money over our MSRP on a treasure trove. You're not getting anything of value over the booster packs. The game tokens included in all of these products are better than nothing, but they are the thinnest possible cardboard that could still be considered cardboard and not just paper. Personally, I immediately threw them away and just used dice that I had to track damage and more. The themed Lorcana plastic deck boxes are fine. They're on par with every other flexible plastic deck box on the market as far as price and quality and usefulness. If you're going to get this type of deck box anyway to transport your cards, you might as well grab a Lorcana themed one that has some cool artwork on it. The playmats are on par with similar offerings from other games. The 3 available in Chapter 1 are nicely made. I particularly enjoy the classic Steamboat Mickey. Ravensburger has already teased future mats going forward for future chapters, and they look great. The sky's the limit for new art featuring the game's Dreamborn and Floodborn characters, which are original concepts for this game. So I'm really excited to see future playmats, and of course, like every other CCG, the third-party market for playmats is going to far outpace the official market. So if you're into playmats, lots of potential here, and I do recommend the official ones as well. Next up, we have collection binders. I didn't buy any of these myself when I had the opportunity at Gen Con, so I can't tell you the quality of the material. but they do feature the same original artwork from the game, though they are small. They'd be great for keeping your foil legendary cards or your enchanted card collection organized, but are definitely too small to keep a full collection in. You're going to want a full-size binder or some other organizational system. Finally, themed card sleeves. I can't recommend these. The artwork on them is great. It's fun to have your deck have artwork on all the back of the cards, but the edges of the sleeves are a little bit curled, making them really difficult to shuffle. They catch on each other and really just make shuffling a pain. Not to mention, if you play the game seriously at all, you're going to be shuffling a lot. Sleeves are going to rip. You're going to need to replace those sleeves, especially if you're going to a game store to play in a tournament or event. You need to have sleeves available that match your deck to replace in case something rips. And if you buy into these theme sleeves, now you have to continue to buy these very specific theme sleeves to be able to re-sleeve your cards. So in the long run, I think it's probably not a good idea. If you really like the artwork and you don't mind taking a while to shuffle, they're fine. The artwork is nice, but I think you're better off sleeving with your favorite color of widely available third-party sleeves. Now, before I reveal the review score for Disney Lorcana, if you got something out of this video, hit that subscribe button, like this video. It really does help us continue to make content to share with all of you. While you're at it, let me know in the comments what you think of the game. Overall, I think Disney Lorcana is a really fun game. It remains to be seen how the game will weather the initial availability stumbles, but the characters and gameplay have potential to bring real joy around the table. While the product availability is an issue, it's not factored into the game's review score because hopefully this is going to be solved and going forward we won't have this issue again. With solid gameplay, beautiful artwork, and a theme I can immediately share with anybody, Disney Lorcana is going to come in at 90 out of 100 for GamingTrend. Thanks for watching. I'm Mark Julian, and remember, from the table to the screen and everything in between, GamingTrend has you covered. Want to see more great reviews and gaming-related content? Click over here. Prefer written content? GamingTrend.com has hundreds of game reviews that you can check out at the link below.